questions?
Okay, obviously, really proud of the guys from last week, just from a standpoint of they were very locked in during the week of practice, great preparation, saw some younger guys take some strides and steps in the right direction, and felt like there were a number of guys that earned their way on the field, and we talked about that. We said, you have to earn your way on the field. It's not just given to you if we happen to get up in a game. You have to earn the right to go out there and represent our defense. And we had a number of guys that did that. We were able to play 38 players on the defensive side of the ball, which I don't think I've ever done before. And impressive, that as we got into down our depth chart, that we still were able to execute with relative consistency outside of really the first third down of the game, that we get them to a 3rd and 15 and they convert a first down, which is truly unacceptable. But outside of that, I thought our guys did a really nice job in that situation. So looking ahead here, obviously another great rivalry game, another great SEC game, and one that we look forward to playing in. This is always a fun time of year. The guys are out of school right now, and so they get a little bit of extra sleep. They get a little bit of extra time to focus on the game they love, and so we enjoy having them around the building a little bit more throughout the day as well, and getting them ready for some things. So we feel like we're in a really good place in terms of our preparation. We took some time to prepare a little bit in advance, obviously, for Auburn as well, and so should be a really good matchup. A lot of great connections on that staff, as you guys know. My brother-in-law's there as a strength coach, and I think the world of Derek Nix, and glad that he's getting an opportunity to call it. I know he's waited a long time to do that. I've known him since I was probably 7-8 years old. Got great family ties. My sister actually was a surrogate for him and his wife, and carried their daughter Ava, and so just really happy for Derek, and he's doing a great job. I mean, you can tell a noticeable difference in some of the things they're doing from an execution standpoint. I think they're playing within the framework of what their players can do. They're getting the ball to their playmakers, and they're creating some explosive plays both in the run and pass game. So it'll be a great challenge for us as always, but certainly we are very much looking forward to the game.
All right, thanks, Coach. Let's start with the far left, Chase.
We saw a little bit of Quay Rusaw for the first time in a while against EIU. Just give us any kind of an idea how close he is to 100% and how he's looked in practice.
Yeah, I think Quay's really taking steps in the right direction. I mean, it was great to get him out there on the field. He has pushed himself in practice, and it's paying off. And so he's just getting better and better day in and day out. We feel like, the steps that he took last week got him in position to go play. And then we just feel like that we can continue to add to his pitch count, as we go here in the season. So I feel like he's in a really good spot. Quay is a very physical presence. You think about some of the physicality that it's going to take for us to be successful on Saturday, and he's certainly a piece of the equation.
We got 2 questions on the right. We'll start with Charlie and go to Dave.
Just with Auburn's quarterbacks, what have you seen from Ashton Daniels, and how rare is it to kind of have film on all 3 quarterbacks going into a game like this?
Yeah, I think Ashton has done a really nice job again. I think they've come up with a game plan that he can operate very efficiently in. I thought he did a really good job against Vanderbilt, taking care of the football, putting the ball in the right direction, working through his progression properly, and then certainly he does things from the run game, that cause challenges and issues for you. And really every quarterback does. I wouldn't say that they are drastically different no matter what quarterback comes in the game plan. And so sometimes you get a throwing quarterback or a runner or vice versa, whatever. They're relatively similar in what they're doing, and so we will anticipate the potential that we might see 2 or maybe 3 of them, but certainly from our standpoint, I don't think it's really going to change how we see them and how we view them from a game plan standpoint.
All right, let's go to Mick next.
That was gonna be my question, if you anticipated multiple, so I'll just ask you what the challenges are of maybe game planning and watching extra film of several quarterbacks.
Well, you certainly want to identify each of them, and are there things that one of them does that the other one does not? And there's certainly elements to, I thought Deuce had a really good game the other day. There's things maybe in the passing game that the young quarterback, they're not going to go maybe as farther down in some of the schematics that they're doing there. But at the same time, I mean, he did a really nice job of pulling the ball down. I mean, he ran all over the field there. When he got out in open field, he was able to, create the big explosive play, and I think rushed for 4 touchdowns, something like that. But for us, I mean, when you look at it structurally, I think they're doing the same thing. I think they have an identity of what they do and how they do it, and I don't think that changes with one quarterback to the next. But you certainly want to be mindful of what each quarterback does well. And like anything, you try to identify those things, and then you try to make a play left-handed, or in Ashton's case, right-handed, so.
Let's go to Joe in the middle of the room here.
Coach, what do you see in the receiver combo of Eric Singleton and Cam Coleman? How do you think that their skills kind of complement one another and make it challenging for your secondary and just off the wall? What's your favorite Thanksgiving side?
Yeah, I think Derek's doing a good job of getting those guys the ball. You notice an effort to get them the ball specifically in terms of their game plan and just in terms of their targets. And those guys are playmakers. I mean, they do a really nice job when the ball's in the air. They do a nice job in one-on-ones. They find creative ways to get them out in space. Formationally, they're doing some things right now to create a little bit more space in the passing game and get easy access throws, and then let those guys go to work. And so both those guys present challenges. They're different receivers, and yet at the same time, when they have the ball in their hands, they're both very explosive and can create yards after catch. And so that's something that we've got to do a great job of mixing it up enough. And then, like all SEC games, right, this it's a physicality war. It's limiting explosives and certainly limiting yards after contact, which is going to be critical for both those guys.
Let's go to front left, Colin.
Hey, Kane, kind of off topic, but during Iron Bowl week, obviously, saw that, your name had been linked to a couple of, the Arkansas job, a couple of finalists. I'm wondering if what hearing your name associated with that is like for you and your family, especially at a time as busy as this.
Yeah, I appreciate the question, but, I'm just not going to address any, job opportunity stuff.
Let's go to Emily Grace, middle of the room.
Coach, we heard from Bray post-game how you challenged the team not to have them cross the 50. So I'm curious what you're challenging the team with this week as they enter the Iron Bowl.
With who?
Just the defense, what you're challenging them with this week.
Yeah, I think for us, this is a physical game, right? The SEC is physical. The Iron Bowl has always been a physical football game. They're going to do some things to establish the run game. I think they've got a really good running back. I think, all of their quarterbacks can run the ball, and so we've got to do a really good job just from a physicality standpoint up front, getting off of blocks when they're trying to create a 1+ offensive system, and then they get RPOs off of it. So they're going to stretch you enough to where you can't just load the box every single play, and so some guys got to get off of blocks and make plays. So that's one of the things that that we have to do. I think for us, when the confidence of going on the road, knowing that you can execute at a high level, our guys are playing at a high level right now, and it's our job to keep them in that sweet spot right now. And their jobs, in terms of the leadership of the defense, I think it's been fantastic. It's been phenomenal. But good defenses, good football teams, good players just find ways to keep getting better throughout the week, and those are the things that we're trying to keep them focused on. So nothing flashy, just good old hard-nosed football.
All right, we'll finish with Katie, second row on the left.
You said that guys had proved that they could earn their way onto the field to play this past week, but what did a game like Saturday kind of show you help you evaluate what you have for the future, whether it's the remaining games this season or maybe upcoming seasons?
Well, I think we've done a nice job of building depth throughout the season in our defense, and I think when you look at it nowadays, like, you're going to have players that are operating in critical moments in the game that you likely didn't need or didn't put on the field at the beginning of the season. And so, You know, just, you think about even a guy like Yanze Pierre. Yanze's been playing for us, but he's just continually gotten better, and then when we had injuries, he stepped up into a role that he's operating at a really, really high level. But there's a number of guys that you can point towards in our secondary and our linebacking core, and certainly up front in the defensive line. I think Freddie's done a really nice job in terms of the development of some of our young defensive linemen that are playing a lot more consistent than where they were at the beginning of the season. And so those are things that when you think about potentially playing more games than we've ever played in the history of Alabama football this season, you know, hopefully, right, you're going to need, you know, that depth, and it's going to show up here in the back half of the season. And to this point, that has been the case, and I would anticipate it being the case moving forward.
All right, thank you, Coach.
Okay, thanks, guys. Roll Tide.